2 Kings chapter 16 and 17. Thanks for joining. Be blessed. Let's pray. Dear Lord, I pray that everyone watching is blessed today, that you would come into their lives, plant some seeds in their lives from the reading of this word, and help it to better, help it to better. I'm totally messing up here. All right. Amen. Okay. Okay. Sorry, I just woke up not too long ago, had a long night, and all right, let's do this. Chapter 16. Ahaz rules in Judah. Ahaz, son of Jotham, began to rule over Judah in the 17th year of King Pekah's reign in Israel. Ahaz was 20 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 16 years. He did not do what was pleasing in the sight of the Lord his God, as his ancestor David had done. Instead, he followed the example of the kings of Israel, even sacrificing his own son in the fire. He imitated the detestable practices. Oops, gotta turn this sound off. Okay. He imitated the detestable practices uh, of the pagan nations the Lord had driven from the land ahead of the Israelites. He offered sacrifices and burned incense at the pagan shrines and on the hills and under every green tree. Then King Rezin of Aram and King Pekah of Israel declared war on Ahaz. They besieged Jerusalem, but did not conquer it. At that time, the king of Edom recovered the town of Elath for Edom. He drove out the people of Judah and sent Edomites to live there, as they do to this day. King Ahaz sent messengers to King Tiglath-Pileser of Assyria with this message: I am your servant and your vassal. Come up and rescue me from the attacking armies of Aram and Israel. Then Ahaz took the silver and gold from the temple of the Lord and the palace treasury and sent it as a gift to the Assyrian king. So the Assyrians attacked the Aramean capital of Damascus and led its population away as captives, resettling them in Kir. They also killed King Rezin. King Ahaz then went to Damascus to meet with King Tiglath-Pileser of Assyria. While he was there, he noticed an unusual altar. So he sent a model of the altar to Uriah the priest, along with its design in full detail. Uriah built an altar just like it, following the king's instructions, and it was ready for the king when he returned from Damascus. When the king returned, he inspected the altar and made offerings on it. The king presented a burnt offering and a grain offering, poured a drink offering over it, and sprinkled the blood of peace offerings on it. Then King Ahaz removed the old bronze altar from the front of the Lord's temple, which had stood between the entrance and the new altar, and placed it in the north side of the new altar. He said to Uriah the priest, use the new altar for the morning sacrifices of burnt offering, the evening grain offering, the king's burnt offering, and the grain offering, and the offerings of the people, including their drink offerings. The blood from the burnt offerings and sacrifices should be sprinkled over the new altar. The old bronze altar will be only for my personal use. Uriah the priest did just as King Ahaz instructed him. Then the king removed the side panels and basins from the portable water carts. He also removed the sea from the backs of the bronze oxen and placed it on the stone pavement. In deference to the king of Assyria, he also removed the canopy that had been constructed inside the palace for use on the Sabbath day, as well as the king's outer entrance to the temple of the Lord. The rest of the events of Ahaz's reign and his deeds are recorded in the book of the history of the kings of Judah. When Ahaz died, he was buried with his ancestors in the city of David. Then his son Hezekiah became the next king. Chapter 17. Hoshea rules in Israel. Hoshea, son of Elah, began to rule over Israel in the 12th year of King Ahaz's reign in Judah. He reigned in Samaria 9 years. He did what was evil in the Lord's sight, but not as much as the kings of Israel who ruled before him. King Shalmaneser of Assyria attacked and defeated King Hoshea. So Israel was forced to pay heavy annual tribute to Assyria. Then Hoshea conspired against the king of Assyria by asking King So of Egypt to help him shake free of Assyria's power and by refusing to pay the annual tribute to Assyria. When the king of Assyria discovered this treachery, he arrested him and put him in prison for his rebellion. Then the king of Assyria uh, invaded the entire land, and for 3 years he besieged Samaria. Hello, Hayatimaz. Um, okay, finally, in the 9th year of King Hoshea's reign, Samaria fell, and the people of Israel were exiled to Assyria. They were settled in the colonies of Hala along the banks of the Habor River in Gozan, and among the cities of the Medes. Hey, I'm from America. Assyria falls, no, Samaria falls to Assyria. This disaster came upon the nation of Israel because the people worshipped other gods, sinning against the Lord their God, who had brought them safely out of their slavery in Egypt. They had imitated the practices of the pagan nations the Lord had driven from the land before them, as well as the practices of the kings of Israel had introduced. The people of Israel also had secretly done many things that were not pleasing to the Lord their God. Oh, from Turkey, that's awesome. Okay. They built pagan shrines for themselves in all their towns, from the smallest outpost to the largest walled city. They set up. Thanks for watching. Thanks by the way, Hayatim Hayatimis. Okay, they set up sacred pillars and Asherah poles at the top of every hill and under every green tree. Give me a like if you would, Hayatimis. They burned incense at the shrines just like the nations the Lord had driven from the land ahead of them. So the people of Israel had done many evil things, arousing the Lord's anger. They Yes, they worshipped idols despite the Lord's specific and repeated warnings. Again and again, the Lord had sent his prophets and seers to warn both Israel and Judah. Turn from your evil ways, obey my commands and laws, which are contained in the whole law that I commanded your ancestors and which I gave you through my servants and prophets. But the Israelites would not listen. They were as stubborn as their ancestors and refused to believe in the Lord their God. They rejected his laws and the covenant he had made with their ancestors, and they despised all his warnings. They worshipped worthless idols and became worthless themselves. They followed the example of the nations around them, disobeying the Lord's command not to imitate them. They defiled all the commands, or no, rather, they defied all the commands of the Lord their God, and made two calves from metal. They set up an Asherah pole and worshipped Baal and all the forces of heaven. They even sacrificed their own sons and daughters in the fire. They consulted fortune tellers and used sorcery and sold themselves to evil, arousing the Lord's anger. And because because the Lord was angry, he swept them from his presence. Only the tribe of Judah remained in the land. But even the land of Judah refused to obey the commands of the Lord their God. They walked down the same evil paths that Israel had established. So the Lord rejected all the descendants of Israel. He punished them by handing them over to their attackers until they were destroyed. For when the Lord tore Israel away from the king of David, they chose Jeroboam, son of Nebat, as their king. Then Jeroboam drew Israel away from following the Lord and made them commit a great sin. And the people of Israel persisted in all the evil ways of Jeroboam. They did not turn from these sins of idolatry until the Lord finally swept them away, just as all his prophets had warned would happen. So Israel was carried off to the land of Assyria, where they remain to this day. Verse 24, foreigners settle in Israel. And the king of Assyria transported groups of people from Babylon, Cutha, Ava, Hamath, and Sepharvaim had resettled them in the towns of Samaria, replacing the people of Israel. So the Assyrians took over Samaria and the other towns of Israel. But since these foreign settlers did not worship the Lord, when they first arrived, the Lord sent lions among them to kill some of them. So a message was sent to the king of Assyria. The people whom you have resettled in the towns of Israel do not know how to worship the God of the land. He has sent lions among them to destroy them because they have not worshipped him correctly. The king of Assyria then commanded, send one of the exiled priests from Samaria back to Israel. Let him teach the new residents the religious customs of the God of the land. So one of the priests who had been exiled from Samaria returned to Bethel and taught the new residents how to worship the Lord. Amazing. But these various groups of foreigners also continued to worship their own gods. In town after town where they lived, they placed their idols at the pagan shrines that the people of the Lord had built. Those from Babylon worshipped idols of their god Sukkoth Benoth. Uh, those from Cutha worshipped their god Nergal, and those from Hamath worshipped Ashima. The Avites worshipped their gods Nibhaz and Tartak. And the people from Sepharvaim even burned their own children as sacrifices to, oh boy, these names, Ad, Adramelech, Adramelech, and Anamelech. Okay, these new residents worshiped the Lord, but they appointed from among themselves priests to offer sacrifices at the pagan shrines. And though they worshiped the Lord, they continued to follow the religious customs of the nations from which they came. And this is still going on among them today. They follow their former practices instead of truly worshiping the Lord and obeying the laws, regulations, instructions, and commands he gave the descendants of Jacob, whose name he changed to Israel. For the Lord had made a covenant with the descendants of Jacob and commanded them, do not worship any other gods, or bow before them, or serve them, or offer sacrifices to them. Worship only the Lord who brought you out of Egypt with such mighty miracles and power. You must worship him and bow before him. Offer sacrifices to him alone. Be careful to obey all the laws, regulations, instructions, and commands that he wrote for you. You must not worship any other gods. Do not forget the covenant I made with you, and do not worship other gods. You must worship only the Lord your God. He is the one who will rescue you from all your enemies. But the people would not listen and continued to follow their old ways. So while these new residents worshiped the Lord, they also worshiped their idols, and to this day their descendants do the same. Wow, so interesting. So now the people of Israel have been swept away, and now they're in Assyria. They've been carried off to Assyria, and that king actually sent people from Assyria to now go and live in Israel. And no sooner that they arrive there, God sends lions in there to go and basically kill some of them or attack them at least. And so people back then seemed to be so cognizant about spirituality and gods, and it's very important to them. Um, even today, it's important, but people, it's termed New Age, but there's nothing new about it. Uh, they're just it's the old ways is what it is. This is nothing new. That these people that are doing the crystals and this whole quote unquote New Age stuff is nothing new about it. It's just the name. The only thing that's new is what they're calling it, which is New Age. But it's as old as time itself. Anyways, this is just a read only, so I don't want to do a whole lot of commentary. But anyways, thanks for everyone who's watching, especially Haya Tamiz, uh, for watching and commenting. Appreciate it. And I'm going to So I've been changing the format, like where I'm just doing reading for the lives, and then I go back and read each chapter again, but I give commentary and I give the takeaway, the main takeaway that I got from reading it, just so that, hey, there's like a lesson to be learned type of thing. So I'm going to do that now. I'm also going to, well, first I'm going to go to my Facebook page. It's called Bible Studies and Films. So I'm going to go there now and I'm going to reread this and make some commentary on it. And then if I can manage, I'm going to go back and read chapter 13, 14, and 15 individually, pre-recorded, make commentary, and uh, give like a lesson or like a main takeaway that I got from those chapters. And there's always, many things you could take away from each chapter, heck, each paragraph and each sentence you read in the Bible. But I'm just going to go with what I got. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you again here in the Facebook group.